interesting characters, isn't they?
Anything you could give us to help us find our work? We've got some pages as well, just rough pages.
Yeah.
You know, get us back to storytelling skills.
So this is a title Wildlife, yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, my first impression, they're really good characters. They're really, I mean, you've really thought them out, the way they look and everything. You sort of want to know more about them. They're a group, but they obviously a character. What's their functions? What's their...
Some of these are villains, some of them are heroes.
Right.
They've each got like quite a big flaw with them, so like they becomes depressed, one of them's schizophrenic, one of them's got a bit of problem. But it's done in a way that it's not the main part of the story, but it's something to help a person struggle throughout his life.
Oh, I see. Well, at first impressions, good characters. I see you've got This is very, especially on your own characters. You know, if I was a publisher and you gave me this, I'd be thinking, oh, there's a lot of information you're giving me, as well as the look of the characters and the art. You know, so that's good. You know, that's almost like a tall version of Rocket Raccoon, isn't it? Had you seen Guardians of the Galaxy? Before, you know,
We came up with the Raccoon character before we saw Guardians.
Yeah.
And they used to look a lot more human, these two, but a lot of feedback said that they look too human. So we sort of made it a bit more anthropomorphic. Obviously the gorilla looks very human because it's a gorilla. Yeah. But these used to look more human.
I see. When they're talking about proportions and stuff like that. I mean, I suppose if you look at Rocket Raccoon, the way they've done him, I don't think that's a bad thing, you know. It's how far do you take it, isn't it, really?
We've been working on these for about 2 years. The gorilla, the rabbit, the bear, the platypus and the tiger all have their own stories that have been written. Some of them storyboarded, they're all like about 70 to 90 pages each, but they're really rough.
Really? But then, you know, you're doing your own characters, you've got to give them a past where they've come from, you know. And you can't just say, I'm going to do a lion character and then not give it some sort of background story, you know. So when you're talking about a character, you know, maybe in a comic strip or whatever, that you can reflect back on the past and show why that character's the way he is today. So if you've got that all worked out, that's
the first 5 volumes are about the characters and how they got to meet. So it's about, say, they get kidnapped and brought to the West, or they're looking for somebody, and say she's got a terminal illness, and that's her sort of thing to overcome. So it makes her mission much more desperate, because she's got to do all that very, very quickly.
I see. Reminds me of one of the Thundercats. I used to do Thundercats. Remember that character's Chitara? I used to do that in the 80s. So you know, but these are great character sheets. And nice designs. How long have you been designing the characters for?
Each one's about 3 or 4 iterations since we first came up with, say, a rhino guy. And then it sort of became, well, rhino got a longer torso. So we did about 3 or 4 drawings for each character to get the way they are now.
We've been doing it over summer. So
most of this book's been done over summer.
And how do you go about colouring? I can see there's obviously done a computer texture thing.
Well, we draw them all in like sketchbook. So we do them all with pencil, and then we pen them in with gel pencil, and then we scan them into Photoshop.
That's nice inky, nice work. That's nice. Hard work, really. So, alright, so this is what you got in this place of this character. So where do you want to take them from here?
Well, we're going to start heading into publishers probably next year. But the moment we're just looking to improve our art. Is there anything that looks off? Is there anything that you think, oh, that bit's a bit wrong? Maybe work on the clothing or the anatomy or the, I don't know. Anything that points out and you think, oh.
No, I don't think so. Honestly, I'm not trying to look at it. I haven't, you know, sometimes when you look for a portfolio or you notice something before, you know, straight away. But no, I can't criticise it. I think there's your own characters, your own style. You know, you're not trying to do a Marvel style. This is about what you're doing. But there's nothing wrong with the anatomy. The poses are great. You know, there's nothing wrong with these at all. You know, it's a good style. I mean, if you've shown me a load of human characters, say, you know, maybe I'd say, oh, maybe the anatomy might be a bit funny now. But you know, these are so uniquely what they are, animals, that you're playing around with and doing things with. You know. If someone said to me, oh, we want you to make a bear look like an Indian, I'd hope I'd do something like that, you know.
Yeah.
No, there's this is all fine. It's a great character. I'm doing my own comics, my own ideas on my card, these characters, and there's these insects are evolved. And that reminds me of one of my designs, although it's not that close, you know.
Yeah. Do you want to take this?
Yeah. I've got to bring some more. I think that's the last one, actually.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. No, these are great. You know, but I've seen some comic strips. I've say you've done it into a comic strip. I'm not looking at your storytelling, seeing how you.
Yeah, I could show you one of those.
Oh yeah, I know that. Yeah. No, these are great. You know. Put me on pause.
Yeah.
Has I've got to sign this? Oh, that's from my. That's what I had. Yeah.
This is the one about the tiger.
Yeah. I see.
So it's really, really rough at the moment. It's just getting
These are your breakdowns. Yeah.
But it's the first time we come from a film background, so a lot of it is quite about composition and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We don't do page layouts a lot of comics.
No, I know.
But it's the first time we're sort of trying that out.
I mean, I can see ways of making them a bit more dramatic angles. What's this like?
So she's an assassin for the East,
Yeah.
which is sort of a Chinese sort of area of the world. And she's sent to look at the northern intrusion, so there's an army of the north moving in, and she's going to try and take this squadron before they get too far.
No, this is the best way when you do breakdowns is not worry about angles anyway, just get it visually down into a grid, comic grid, or if you like, you know. I mean, if I would have, you know, my first thought with this one, I'm not saying this is the way to go, you normally think of an establishing shot, you know, and you will see the character almost maybe too soon, maybe. Yeah. Maybe it's just like a forest or something, or so the moment you see the top of a forest, and then you see the first thing you see is I move silently through. You don't know who it is, but then you suddenly get maybe 3 panels later you see the character. Yeah. Just a nice way of I move through. You know, you might show a foot on the next one running. And suddenly you see characters, just to kind of. You can go too quickly into a character sometimes.
Give it some time.
Bang, you know, just it's a timing thing, you know. You know, so you're establishing where the person is, maybe a buff shot, you know, I don't know, quite a pull away shot, you know, buff forests, mountains, whatever. Then you can put that same caption in, you know. Then suddenly you move. Third panel later, maybe you see the character. Yeah. You know, you don't want to drag that too far out. You don't want about 5 panels later, and people are just seeing, you know, feet, arms, and whatever before you see the character. You know what I mean?
Yeah, very good point. Yeah, thank you.
But no, I mean, this is just your breakdowns. You know, I mean, you've done a pull-away shot there, so to establish these characters in a group, you know, so that's fine. And if what you're doing, because I've done film storyboards before now, and I tend to sort of think comics though when I've done those, you know, and sort of give them angles. But sometimes it's not about that; it's about the panning of the camera, isn't it? All that stuff, you know. But that's nice. I'm sort of seeing that character in the foreground. You've got one in the background there. Then we close up on that one. Then so that looks a nice page. Although I would say maybe. They would say too many headshots, maybe. You know, sometimes it works. Sometimes pull back a bit on the camera. Sometimes, you know what I mean. You got close up. You know, and now you've got someone in the distance there. But I'm being fussy. That's all.
No, any feedback's fantastic.
You know, I was told sometimes. You know, and that's a common mistake a lot of people do when they're starting to draft their own comic pages up. Everything's a close-up.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to draw buildings in the background or cars. They want to just draw the character. So they forget that if you was watching a film with just headshots all the time, you'd get a bit fed up with it, you know. That's nice. I like the centralness of that, you know. I know sometimes in film it's nice to have things off the centre, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
you know, I can see that these are purely breakdowns, but I can see you are thinking about camera angles and that, yeah. Yeah, just all your lettering sorts in there. Have you had many reviews, like people look at this?
We had 2 so far today.
Yeah.
Last year we were just showing off pictures, but they were 2 or 3, generations ago. So
I mean, but I'll tell you, I don't know about getting, how to get published, because even I'm not sure about my own characters really. I mean, there's so many different ways now. I've worked on this comic, and it's not my creation, but the guys, they've had a film out in America, same title, in 2012 it came out, and they're now filming the second film, but this is the second graphic novel, obviously 2, and they raised $5,500 on Kickstarter.
oh, wow.
Just to get it published. So that's one way of pitching your idea, because this is quite uniquely something yourself. So, I know you have to pitch an idea, get yourself. Look at Kickstarter. I don't know.
Kickstarter's a good idea. Website.
And Kickstarter's. There's another one as well. Someone told me about. Probably came out since Kickstarter started, but it's a good way. Patriot, it's someone else who's quite a well-known artist. He's doing his own thing, and you literally get paid to do a page of artwork and put it up on there.
Oh, wow.
People often pay so much for you to produce more pages to put it up on the website. It's like Patriot, something like that. I can't remember. I'm not actually looked for it really, but yeah.
So looking for that. Wow.
Yeah, there's ways of doing it, but obviously then you can obviously do the physical artwork yourself and go out there and try and get it published in some fashion off your own back. Work hard,
Yeah.
clean windows, but there's things like Kickstarter can shortcut that thing.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
I was surprised when these guys did that because they've had the film out already. It was only distributed in Canada and America, but so they've done reasonably well for that market, So they're doing a second film now, So something like Kickstarter, or that you can go to websites like Lulu, where they're publishing places. You can once you've got your pages done, they'll quote you how much it would cost for so many pages. The more books you have printed, the cheaper it would be. Then you come to these places and try and sell it. But, get comic shops to have it in. Somewhere like people like Forbidden Planet and comic shops.
Yeah.
Well, if you had a physical comic, say, well, could you try and sell these for us? And you give them so much. They take so much %.
Yeah.
It's another way of doing it. I know that's one of the old ways of doing it. I remember people doing that in the 80s. It's difficult to say the right way to go about it as far as getting it published. I mean, these guys are probably good to chat to there because that's all their own stuff to do. I believe, and I don't know. I've only met them since yesterday, but they've also got a lot of stuff printed, so they'll be maybe more clued up. Maybe bend their ear on it, for publishing. But no, I think what I've seen is a nice collection of characters. It's well put together, and this is, a nice breakdown. Maybe work a couple of pages up to what you think's a finish. And just do 1 or 2. Don't have to do the whole lot. And you can show people this. So we broke it all down, and then show this is what we think it's going to look like. Something like that. That's great stuff.
Oh yeah, thank you very much, mate.
Yeah. That one makes sense.
Thank you.
If I didn't, don't